Hey guys, Omerko here, self-taught web developer. So I plan to create this series on my channel where from time to time I would post content which won't have coding in it, but still be related to it, right? So this series will contain videos where I would talk about different overall themes in coding, programming, skill sets, lifestyle as a coder, and problems as a coder. So I hope you would like this kind of content, so subscribe to our channel as I'm posting new content weekly, and also hit the bell button so you could get notified about latest videos. So let's start it. In this video, we will talk about front-end web development. You will learn what is web development, what is front-end web development, skills that you need to know for front-end, difference between front and back-end web development, how hard it is to get a job, and usual salaries for this position. Also, we will talk about the usual steps in career. So what is web development? Web development is large technique, you could call it like that, which will allow you to create websites, apps, even larger systems that users could interact with. Those systems could grow large, so it could create a larger business for you, or could be just simple, smaller projects for your career, your portfolio, or even just for fun. Mainly, there is two parts of every web application. Front-end and back-end. This is not just based for web apps. You could have a static website, so in that case you will have just the front-end side, or maybe some kind of website with authentication database. At that point you will have front and back side working together. So let's see the differences a bit with the front-end and back-end. So front-end side, also known as client side, is visible to a client. Usually there will be a design, images that you will see, all the objects that you will see like buttons, forms, input fields, etc. And all the interactions with the web app or website. So for example, you will click some button, it will open up a modal or some kind of pop-up. That will be the front-end side. Backend side is part of the application that is not visible to a client. So it is also known as a server side of the application. On the back side, you will usually connect your app with the server, with the database, work with the authentication, authorization, manipulate the data like add some data, remove some data, update some data, write or read some data. Backside is also known as a logic side of the application, so most of your logic you will put on the backside as it is not easily visible to a client. So now let's talk a bit more about the front end, as this video is about front end web development. So what is front end web development? So as I said, front end is also known as a client side of the app or website. Back in the days, front-end developers could work mainly with UI, UX changes on website. Advanced things back in the days were just manipulating the DOM, aka document object model. So front-end could create advanced transitions, animations, smaller changes that client could see. Today, JavaScript, which is the main language of web developers, front-end web developers, has a bunch of frameworks like Angular, React, Vue. Those frameworks gave front-end development much more work to do. With those frameworks, developers could show some dynamic data at this point and also manipulate that dynamic data. Everything with this led to a SPA era, so also known as a single page application era. Basically, at that point, front-end will load just one file, like for example index.html file, and those frameworks will re-render screens as client routes through the app. So skills for front-end web development. Usually all front-end developers take same path in learning front-end web development. I will tell you some main skills that you could learn that you basically must know for front-end, and some optional skills. Those optional skills, like those are not like you shouldn't learn those. You should learn those, but you could choose which of those you wish to learn. So first of all, HTML, also known as a hypertext markup language, that is basically a main language, foundation of every web page. This language will create markup for a website that could be designed and manipulated. HTML uses HTML tags to show markup on a screen. It uses different tags to show different elements on a web page, like a P tag for paragraph, or A tag for links, or IMG tag for images, and so on. Then we have a CSS language, Cascading Style Sheet. CSS is a language that will allow us to design the look of HTML and create a layout for it. This will give us more presentational look of our web page. It can work with the background images, fonts, borders, margins, paddings, and much more and more. It will also allow us to create responsive web pages, which could be nicely seen no matter which screen we are looking at, like phones, tablets, larger desktops or laptops that we have. JavaScript, as I already mentioned, JavaScript could manipulate the DOM for us, so we could by that display different objects on screen, do some cool animations and transitions with it. It supports events like click event. When you click something, you do something. When that event occurs, we could do something, maybe change color of a button or send some data to a backside of our application. With JavaScript, there is no boundaries in web development at all. So let's take a pause and talk overall about these main skills. Like let's take a human body, for example. HTML in a human body would be bones, like our markup, right? So our structure. So the CSS could be the color of our screens, of our eyes, and the JavaScript would be our movements, hand gestures, etc. I hope that you understand this in this way. So optional skills. So for example, we would have SAS, SCSS, or LAS, for example. Those are all CSS preprocessors. Those will allow us to nest our CSS, to manage our CSS files better, not have repeatable code. Those could also run advanced techniques in CSS in much more simpler way. You could choose which of those you wish to learn. SAS and SCSS are the same thing. Those are using just different syntax. You could also use, for example, LAS. So down there you could see Bootstrap. There is also Zerb Foundation, Materialize. This would be frameworks for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So with those we could code cleaner, faster. Also we could create the features in minutes, and for some of those features, if we are creating custom ones, we will need like half an hour or an hour even. Also, all of those has their own grid system, so you could create the responsive pages from scratch, literally from the start of creation. And down there you could see Angular, React, and Vue. So advanced front-end web developers should know some framework for JavaScript, like this one's Angular, React, and Vue. You could also know other ones like Next.js and Svelte.js. There is a large amount to choose from. So what we will get with these frameworks? Well, basically you could manipulate the DOM as you wish. You could also work with the data on front side, manipulate that data, or show and render dynamic data on the front side. Those will allow us to create single page applications, as I talked a bit before. And these frameworks, main part of those is they will bundle our code to use just a couple of files, and it will be a small code for our servers. So we could load our app much faster than usual. Also, these JavaScript frameworks could integrate some node package models, and those will extend our app with new features, with a large amount of features that we couldn't usually do, or we could but in a harder way. So let's now talk about tools for front-end web development. So tools, as you could see on the screen, are the ones that you will use through your career as a front-end developer. Text editors allow us to write the code, debug the code, and we spend the most time in text editors. There is some examples here like Visual Studio Code, developed by Microsoft, Sublime Text, and Atom. There is a lot more to choose from, obviously. Git, as you could see, is a version control. Git is a popular version control system which could be integrated with our project. It will allow us to track changes that we make through our code. With this, we could easily manage our projects and features, no matter if we work in a team or as a solo player. We could also go back through versions of our code with this Git version control. design editors. As a front-end developers, we would get some kind of design that we will follow to create a web app or a website. So by that, it is good to know Photoshop, Figma, Sketch, or some other design editors that we usually work with. Terminal, we will use Terminal through our career a lot. It is the place where we will work with the Git. We could manage our app versions, also maybe reroute ourselves through the projects, run local servers, install third-party packages, and much more. Third-party packages like NPM, Node Package Manager. Node Package Manager is a manager that will manage our third-party managers. If you go to the NPM official website, you will have there thousands of different packages that you could integrate. Some of those are integrated with Angular, some of those are for Node, some of those are for Vue, but in overall, you will find a lot of great features out there. Bundlers. So bundlers, as you could see, they offer us like a smaller files, faster loading. So this type of programs allow us to bundle our code, so we could have a smaller files. Also, those files would easily be read with our server, which could give us a faster loading on our website, obviously. A good example of these bundlers would be Gallop, for example. So now let's talk about the job. So how to get a job as a front-end web developer. So there is a couple of paths that you could take, but I will talk about the freelance and office job at this video. So freelance. If you choose a path of a freelance, as I did, I would advise you to create first good portfolio. Make some nice portfolio for yourself. So create some couple of projects, some simple ones, some advanced ones. Also make sure to be ready. Get some courses, run some tests, right? So learn your skills in proper way. Also join some websites for freelance. Join like Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer. There you will have a bunch of remote works where you could submit to, and maybe you will get one, right? And from that point on you could grow your career. In other way, office job. Office job, most of the companies have a skill set that you need to learn, like skill sets they require. So go through those skill sets. Learn the proper skills that you need for your company, for the company that you wish to apply to. Then usually for most of the companies you will have some test where you will just talk about your skills and you will talk about some issues and you will solve those as you talk about those. And the next stages would be coding tests, right? So you will have coding interviews where you will have some coding issue or example with which you will need to solve or create. If you succeed, you will get a job where you could earn a decent amount of money and also learn and build your career. In building career in the office job, you could expand your career to not just front end, maybe becoming a back end, maybe going to project management, etc. Right? Until you get to director, even entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is similar to an entrepreneur, but you will be inside of your company. So about the salary, what could you expect? So as you could see, I typed like Europe, Asia, and USA. Why the USA, not the North America? Because the USA itself, it is the market itself basically. So let's go first with the Europe. Obviously there is a lower payment in the Europe, but this doesn't mean you will stay at this payment. You could grow your career with no boundaries, so this is not a static payment that you will get, right? This payment could vary from let's say $20,000 to 100. It's not a problem, and you could also create some of your apps that you could earn a bit more money, right? So Asia, I would say a little higher payment, as they are obviously investing more in technology than in Europe. And USA is the main market for not just front-end development, but development in overall. There, if you land a job in an office, you would usually get a higher payment, right? And from that point, you could grow your career. But mostly web developers, when they get nice payment from their companies, they stay at that company. And if that's the way you wish to go, then it's fine, obviously. So next point. So this is just a simple timeline that I created for you. This is how it usually goes, right? So for front-end web developers. So first of all, you will learn proper skills. That main skills that I talked about, HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. Then you will grow yourself to learn Bootstrap, maybe you choose Angular to learn at that point. So now you have your front-end development skills that you could apply to some job, right? So no matter if you go to a freelance job or the office job, the next part you will be to work, obviously. So what I suggest is work daily and learn daily. Coding is not something you will learn overnight. Consistency is what gets you good, obviously. So even if you don't have a job at the moment, code daily. Create some of your own projects, learn something new, maybe go to some courses. Also, at this point, it will be good for you to learn more. Maybe expand your skills. Maybe you will go to full stack development. It's easy to go to full stack from these skill sets. You will maybe just learn Node.js, Express.js, and working with the MongoDB. And with that, you could combine some of your front-end frameworks like Angular, React, or Vue, right? So now you are full stack web developer, which led you to better jobs, higher pay. So you will get a higher payment if you learn more. You could even start your own team or a company, like your own business. So the final step of would be a founder. So create something on your own. No matter if it's a smaller team, which will help you to develop different apps for different clients, so you could expand your payments, right? Or maybe you wish to create a company, right? So, or you also need to start small, but maybe someday you will create a company. Maybe you wish to teach someone, like go to Udemy, post some of your courses there. It will generate a passive income for you. It's a great way to get more money. Also, you could create your own app, which you could scale, obviously, without limitations. So yeah, this is the usual timeline, but what I would suggest you to do, what my advice to you would be, is just code daily. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you like it. If you do, please click like and subscribe, as I'm posting new content weekly. So see you guys next week.